So a little bit of a bittersweet day today. We had Austin was with us for 3 weeks to the day and finally got into his new apartment. So we moved him in and he's there with his girl Nikki and getting all set up and settled. So he's excited for that. We're excited for him. So what we're gonna do today, we actually are gonna kind of skip some of our morning chores because we need to get to planting. We did some buying last week. You kind of see over there. We've got some fruit trees that we bought last week. We went over to see Reed, got a few things from him that I will show you right over here. So we got some citrus trees. Those actually were not from Reed. We got those from Summer Wind, but we did get these last 3 apple trees. In fact, those are our last 3 apple trees that we needed. Those are tropic sweet apples that we get from Reed. Fantastic variety for us here in Arizona. We have some citrus we actually got from Summer Winds, and 1 citrus that we did get from Reed that is actually not available, but he went ahead and sold us one. So we'll cover that on another episode, but today what I want to do with you guys is we have some additional grapevines. We've been healing these in for the last couple days. These are bare root flame seedless grapevines that we got from groworganic.com. They look great. I'll show you here in just a minute because we're gonna have to pull these out. They're healed in. Need to pull them out and get them into some water in B1. We're gonna be planting them right here, which is the front of our vineyard garden, and it's right off of the house. The farmhouse is right there. So this will be the first grapevines that we see when we're looking out from the window, and we need to get them planted because as cool as it is today, we have a few trees that have broken dormancy, and we all know what's around the corner. Okay, so we've got some tools and supplies we need to get to, and I need to get these things into that bucket with some water and vitamin B1. Hopefully I got a good shot of the roots. You guys will see those again, but you can see I've got 12 grapevines here. Now again, where we're putting them, we're gonna be right here along the front of the vineyard garden. Now, we only have 10 spots. We got 12 of these vines on purpose. We have 2 extra that we'll be putting into pots because we're hopeful, obviously, that they all are going to come back to life and break dormancy. But just in case, we take the 2 that have the smallest root balls and we will be putting those into pots. And if they all break bud, then we'll find a spot for those. And then hopefully the rest of them in the run will do the same. So vitamin B1 and water, that's what we have going on in there. Now what we'll be doing is we'll be pulling back the wood chips from these areas here and getting the areas prepped for getting these vines in. Now we will be using something that you guys are going to be familiar with as far as the bare root plantings. We'll be using the Kellogg's garden soil. We couldn't find a bag of that at our local Home Depot, so we wound up getting the Kellogg's Amend, which is a little more expensive per cubic foot, but it's basically the same thing. We'll be slightly amending the soil. Again, we'll show you that as well. But a little chilly. I need to get to work because I need to warm my hands up and get these wood chips pulled back. So you can see it's a little bit different from what you've seen us doing before as far as grapevines are concerned. So these are bare root grapevines, a lot different from the last time you watched us planting our Cabernet grapes, which came in pots. These are not potted. So what we're gonna do is essentially take the roots and stretch them out along this trench as opposed to digging a single hole. So now you can see we amended this soil with the Kellogg's garden soil. So it's probably about a 30% garden soil to just normal natural dirt. and we'll be using that to fill this in around the roots. Remember, we do that amendment mainly so that we get this consistency in the material around the roots. So you'll see that here in just a moment. But that's what we have here. And then we took some vitamin B1 and fish emulsion and we put it along this trench just down in the bottom. That way we have some nutrition for this tree to help get it going. We're here in February, so we're ready to fertilize. It's fertilizing month for us. So for these, we're gonna go ahead and get that fertilization around these vines because we won't come back and fertilize again until May. Okay, now we're ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and pick out the vines and start getting these in the ground, and we'll stop a couple times if there's anything that we need to show you. Okay, you can see how simple that was. We just took the roots, spread them out this way along that trench. Now we do that sort of strategically. We have our emitters right here that are dropping our irrigation right here on either side of this trench that we created so that it's not dropping straight down on top of the vine. And then of course the vine is center. Now one of the things about this particular vine, these are Flame Seedless grapes. These are actually just rooted cuttings from Dave Wilson. So these vines can actually root out from the trunk. So we talk a lot about planting depth. Now we did want to try to get it about the same height as grade, but if it's a little bit too deep on these vines, it's not a problem at all. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and get this caged up. It's totally optional if you don't have the issue that we do with rabbits and jackrabbits in particular, but we do need to get a cage around this. And then of course we are gonna have a stake that goes up to the 3-foot level. That way this can train right along that and we can eventually start creating our trunk and cordons. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get to work. This one's done. We need to get the rest of these in the ground. Okay, so I just wanted to take a quick break and just show you the rooting that we have on this. I mean, this is pretty amazing. So it has 2 different nodules that sprouted, which is not uncommon because you would normally have your nodes here that would send out shoots if it was above ground, and it's sending out roots. So we have a mass of roots at this node here and then another one down here at the bottom, but just this huge mass of roots. That is fantastic to see. I know we've gotten bare root flame grapevines from Home Depot before, and the root mass is just a fraction of this size. So to see this is one of the reasons we actually went back and got these from groworganic.com, because we had the Syrah and the Zinfandel grapes from them, and we also saw this. Now we do have a couple that have a fraction of this as well. We're gonna be putting those into pots, but I've got at least 2 or 3 that look just like this. So this should do really, really well. So that'll give you an idea of what that looks like when it's done. So you can see flame grapevines on this side of the vineyard garden at least are ready to go. Lori's over there getting some of the cages and that kind of thing prepped. But I think before we get started on that side, we need to grab something to eat because we're already halfway done for today. So we have both sides done, and that actually completes the entire vineyard garden. So we have, well, it completes the vineyard part of the vineyard garden anyway. So a couple things that I probably should point out to all of this entire vineyard garden, and specifically what you guys saw us planting today. So we've had these wood chips down on the ground since last summer. So they've been on the ground several months. We have been watering them regularly to help prepare the soil for these grapevines. Hopefully you'll notice that they are built up on a berm, and that's specifically because we want the roots going out. Hopefully you can make it out on camera here. I'll stand up so you can see, there you go. You can see that row of wood chips. That's there to ensure that they have good, healthy soil and moist soil to grow into. We want the roots going from one to the next so they have plenty of water. And also the wood chips are on the ground to keep grass and other weeds from actually trying to outcompete the grapevines. We don't want that happening either. And if you guys see that rock pile on the ground, if you followed us doing that, you know that we have drain pipes. So we've got gutters that come from the house, go underneath the ground right here, and they spill down in front of the grapevines here. We also built a swale in front of the grapevines, so that way it pools the water up against there to help hold additional moisture. And then of course, the fact that they're up on a berm on this backside, as water pools into here when we get our heavy rains, it'll go between the beds and the grapevines, kind of settle, and then go down into the wood chips there to again hold more moisture for these grapevines in this vineyard. So that's the design, and really looking forward to how those are going to do. Flame grapevines here in Arizona are just perfect. We did a few other things today that we didn't capture on video. The biggest thing was getting wood chips on the ground. We've got those trees that we need to plant. We still got a couple more trees we need to buy that we're trying to track down, but as you guys probably know, it is fertilizing season. We need to get to fertilizing, so I don't know whether we're gonna plant all of those or not before we fertilize, but I'm walking over here. I apologize if the sound's bad, but I'm walking over here to the western orchard, and you'll see up here pasture is in the background, and we've got our peach trees back here. The peach trees are actually the first trees to break dormancy. We've got the Florida Princes that were first. The early ambers and the early grandes have not quite broken yet. And then as I'm walking through the rest of our stone fruit. And you probably won't be able to pick it up on camera, but all the rest of the stone fruit are still asleep. We have a couple of mulberries that are starting to wake up. So those are doing good. And we got a wonderful pomegranate from Reed. That's already starting to wake up. But what's interesting is I'm walking back here. We were putting some wood chips on the Weeping Santa Rosa. And you guys know that this is a special tree for me. And I looked up and I couldn't believe it. And hopefully you'll get this on video, but that right there, if you can pick it up, is a flower bud. And there is green coming in on the branches here. So I've got leaves coming in on this. That's very early, but you know, I was a little concerned. Planting that tree, it means a lot to me, and whether or not it was going to make it, and to see that one breaking dormancy early, that's pretty special. So Lori and I, we've got a lot of work we need to try to get done tomorrow. We've got the pig pen expansion, or actually the pig pen move that we're going to need to be doing here over the next couple weeks. We do have fertilizing that we need to get done. We just got, as usual, a lot going on. Just want to share a couple things with you guys here today. I know we're still cranking right along with spring here upon us early in Arizona as usual. Hope you guys are getting to it as well. So just want to thank you for joining me as always. Remember, if we can do this on the edge of nowhere, so can you. You don't have that on, do you? I do. Are you serious? You know, the trees need some nitrogen. I feel a little weird, I'm not gonna lie. I feel a little vulnerable right now, honey. There you go, plenty of nitrogen. Now you just need to break dormancy. There we go. All right, ready.